I rise on behalf of United Future to support the resolution moved by Mr Twyford. I acknowledge his role in bringing this resolution before the House, and I generally concur with the remarks made by the other speakers in this debate. Mr Speaker, I cut my political teeth on the campaign in 1971-72 to oppose French nuclear testing at Mururoa Atoll, and I vividly recall the imagery of Norman Kirk standing on the dock in Devonport in 1973 as HMNZS Otago, as it was at that stage, was farewelled to be the beacon of hope for New Zealand in the Mururoa test zone. And I recall Norman Kirk saying, "We may only be a small country, but we can send this signal to the rest of the world." And the fact that New Zealand and Australia combined shortly thereafter to take a case to the International Court of Justice, the World Court in those days, and won that case in terms of the legality of the French efforts, gave some substance to what was a mounting campaign in this country at that time against not only the use of nuclear energy, nuclear issues in this country, but on an international scale as well. And, sir, in that same vein, one of the proudest, if not the proudest moment I've had as a Member of Parliament was being in Los Angeles in 1985 when David Lange passed through on his way north to the Oxford Union debate. I was heading back to New Zealand as a young MP at that stage and went to a dinner which was hosted on his behalf at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles, the very hotel, the very room that Robert Kennedy had been in shortly before his assassination a few years earlier. And during the course of a very hostile dinner, attended by a largely American audience, sceptical about this New Zealand Prime Minister and this country's attitudes, Lange was getting a fairly rough time. At the end of the dinner, you have to imagine the back wall of this dining room being lined with television cameras, and a rather large, drooping moustached, cigar-chomping American reporter got up and said, "Prime Minister, you're on your way to Oxford to debate the morality of nuclear weapons with Jerry Falwell. He will have the Bible in one hand and a cross in the other and be arguing in favour of nuclear weapons. What can you possibly say in response to him?" And Prime Minister Lange leapt to his feet and said, "I will tell him that to err is human, but that I'm prepared to forgive him." At which point the approximately 400 people in the room leapt to their feet in a spontaneous standing ovation, including a group of senators I've been at the same table with who'd spent the entire previous 2 hours deriding everything Lange stood for and had said. And as a Kiwi, that is a moment of extraordinary pride to see your Prime Minister, forget party allegiances at that point, getting up there and essentially winning over an international audience. And so it was to be in the Oxford debate a little while later, which incidentally to this day I've never actually seen because I was in the air at the time. But what those two events did for me, and I think for this country as a whole, was give us some credibility in terms of nuclear non-proliferation issues. We're never going to be a nuclear power. That was never an issue as far as New Zealand was concerned. But I come back to what I think we can be and what this resolution is all about. It's that moral beacon that Norman Kirk spoke of way back in 1973. And the challenge that now arises, and I pick up Dr Kennedy Graham's point, is how do we give effect to what is a domestic sense of commitment in an international environment? And this resolution and the actions that flow from it, if they were to be adopted, give some substance to that call. So I think that supporting this is the appropriate thing to do. I think also, sir, that credit must be given to the New Zealand position as reflected by the Prime Minister in Washington just recently. This has been an accumulation of effort over the years. It's important that we take advantage of the opportunities that are provided to us in the international forum and the standing we do have and have acquired to continue to push those issues that have been so important to so many New Zealanders over a long period of time. So, sir, I congratulate the mover of this motion. I'm delighted to think that it's going to pass with unanimous endorsement in this House, but I come back to Dr Graham's point that these resolutions are all very well. There's a wonderful quote from Bismarck that's appropriate in these circumstances. What is important is the actions that flow from this, not the mere passage of the resolution itself.